What's up, everybody? We are live with the MMA Mainstream Podcast. Of course, I'm James with my co-host Kaelyn. Kaelyn, how are you doing?
Good Sunday. It's raining. I was gonna say it's a
Yeah.
beautiful Sunday, but it's not. It's raining. It's gloomy.
If you like
Good
rain like
weekend.
myself, it's beautiful outside.
Yeah, good weekend of fights though.
That's
Coming off
true.
last night's UFC fight card was pretty good. Gonna be honest, thought it'd be better. It was all right.
Now,
Uh,
why did you think it would be better?
I don't know because we've
Was
had
it
so
just
many good fight
because?
cards, and you would think that a John Jones card would be like, you know, great, maybe one of the best of the year, because he's been on so many great fight cards. He usually makes the fight card, but we've had so many good ones lately that I don't really rank this one as one of the best. So
Now, is it because John Jones finished the fight so early?
well
Or
that and I mean, okay, finishing a fight early is always good. What I wanted was to see him fight. I wanted to see how he can move and how fast he was and what he looks like as a heavyweight. We just didn't get to see much of that. To be honest, he looked a little slow. He looked overweight for his size.
I'll
Uh,
say that when I watched the weigh-ins, it looked like he had the pot belly going, in which I was like,
he did, and
"Whoa!"
he just. I don't know if because we've seen him for so long at light heavyweight, he looks so great that now it's just a little bit too much. I think maybe. Yeah, I don't know. From what I saw, he wasn't very fast, although he didn't really have a reason to be fast. The fight went so fast, and then how it ended was him on top of Cyril Gahn having him in that choke, and he was up against the fence, so no one was going anywhere basically, and it was locked in. He wasn't gonna go anywhere, so he got it. He won. It's just I wanted to see more of a fight, and it wasn't.
Now, that being said, what about the other fights on the card? What did you happen to think about those?
Yeah. So okay. Well, so the co-main was crazy. Sort of. I don't know. Shevchenko lost her belt, which is I never thought I would see that. That's crazy. But thinking back on her last fight with Taylor Santos, she almost lost that fight too, which was really that I was surprised that she almost lost that fight. So now going into this one, I'm like, well, being that she almost lost that last one, I don't know what she's going to look like now. And she didn't look bad. It's just Alexa Grasso outboxed her, which I was surprised at that too. Like I know she's a good boxer. I'm just surprised that she got to her like that. Shevchenko was still moving good. She was fast. It's just Grasso got her. Grasso had rocked her a little bit in the beginning, but she was still moving fast. She was still with it, But she got boxed up that she wanted to take her down. Took her down. Alexa Grasso had really good defense on the ground, which was worked in her favor for sure. I didn't know she had that in her.
She said in the presser after that she'd been working on her jits. So
that's great. Obviously it showed. She got the submission, which I thought, if anything, if Grasso was going to win, it would be by boxing, a knockout, or punches. Outscoring punches. Didn't think I'd see her choke her out, which was so crazy. And even I don't know if you saw the pictures, because it wasn't under her chin. It was like on
crank instead of a choke.
So where like it was still obviously you're still getting choked in a way, or you tap to the pressure because people could snap their jaws, and then there is this picture that I noticed this morning after all the drama settles. You start to actually see what happened in the fights and different people's pictures and stuff, and you could see the white ring around her mouth from where her arm was for a good few 30 seconds after the fight, where the rest of her face was purple and red, and then you have this white line where her arm was, and and that showed how tight that hold was. I wasn't going to call it a choke, but it was a hold, I guess, because you tapped to the pressure.
So it wasn't a choke, but it was not a neck crank either, because
it was just pressure. I think it was just from all the pressure. Because it still hurts. I mean, it hurts just as bad as getting choked out. You don't want to snap your jaw or anything.
No, of course not.
But she took her back. I believe it was from Shevchenko was attempting a spinning back fist or back elbow. Fell short. On her way back, Alexa Grasso got her back, jumped on her back. She jumped on her back. Like it's not like the opportunity was there on the ground, but she made it happen on top and then took her down basically by jumping on her back and getting her hooks in and getting that arm across her mouth. It was very, very, very fast. But it worked. So, and I never thought that would happen. So that's good. And I don't know. We'll see what happens with her now, because I think people were asking Dana about a rematch, which would be cool. I think she deserves it, being how long she was the champ. You know, I think you do need to do a rematch in that case.
Grosso said she's game because she knows.
Oh yeah, I think she. Again. Yeah. So I don't know if Shevchenko would do it. I hope so, just to see. You know, and we'll go from there. But I didn't think Alexa Grasso was going to win. I did not have her winning. I thought maybe Shevchenko just had a bad fight the last one, even though she won. It just wasn't spectacular or anything like that. You could argue that she lost. So now we'll see what happens. I don't know. I'm surprised Shevchenko kind of fell off like that. Not that she's not good. It's just that everyone else is getting good too.
That's true. People are starting to catch up, it seems like. Now, out of the two title fights with submission finishes, which finish did you think was better, Grosso's or Jones?
Entertainment wise, Grosso's. You know, John Jones happened pretty fast, and you almost couldn't even see what was going on for a while, because he was on top of Cyril Gane. Cyril Gane was leaning on the fence. There's really nowhere to go from there, you know. So, and you had to watch the replay to see exactly what happened, but he had him in a choke and was just laying on him, basically putting all of his weight there. Got him. It happened very fast. He tapped out quickly. So I don't know. I wanted to see more of a fight. Wanted to see more kicks, punches, you know. Just didn't really
wanted to go deeper into the fight rather than just
well, I wanted to see John Jones fight. I wanted to see him move, basically, on his feet. I wanted to see how he moved as a heavyweight. To me, he doesn't look like he should have all that. It looks awkward. I don't think
John Jones looks bloated in his photo.
Bloated, that's what I'm saying. Bloated,
because he went up in weight, he doesn't look the same as the John Jones that we are used to as fight fans.
Yeah. I like that he has bigger legs. I felt like his legs were too skinny back then. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know if he's going to adjust or if he's happy the way he is. I just know he's not as fast. Didn't get to see it. Maybe he is. Didn't get to see it, though. But we'll see. I don't like him at heavyweight, I don't think.
Well, the next opponent I think they were talking about, just, you know, tossing around, is Stipe. So,
well, there's nobody who else. Well, Stipe will be. It was there. It was a setup, obviously, for the next fight. And I think Stipe will get that because he's still in the game. He's still in the game. Francis is gone. Cyril Gane got done. He was the number one. I don't know what other heavyweight would be there for him, but besides Stipe, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, the Stipe one is going to be next. You can tell they're already getting it set up. He was there basically getting interviewed. So, and then John Jones called him out in the press conference also. So
there's a lot involving the press conference with John Jones as well. We'll get into that a little bit later. But right now we are joined with our guest Roman Guillen. How you doing, man?
Good. How you doing?
Can't complain. Welcome to the MMA Mainstream Podcast. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
So you're going to be fighting March 10th at 559 Fights against Michael Ramirez. And how has your training been going?
Honestly, it's really good. I feel like this training camp's been like a lot more disciplined, a lot more focused. You know what I mean?
Now you're 2-1, and you've had a few fights fall through. And so how does having a fight fall through for you really mess with you because you've been doing so much prep, or are you on to the next?
It's kind of at first a little bit, but once it happened like 2 or 3 times, I just kind of got used to it. You know what I mean? I kind of just put it in my mind, like whoever they put in front of me, like I gotta, you know what I mean?
Guess anything could happen, and it can happen at the last minute too. So that
especially in amateur.
Kind of heads up.
Yeah.
What's your training schedule like? How do you work this out within your week? What's a normal week for you?
Usually I'll go train in the morning from like 9 to like 11, and then I'll come back, either run, nap, and then I'll go back to the gym from like 6 to 8. Go train again. That's like the usual day.
do you have to juggle a job as well as?
Yeah. Before this training camp, I was doing roofing, but I took a break the last 2-3 weeks so I could just like really focus on training.
Okay, so you'll work and then have a fight come up, and then you'll take a break.
Yeah. And the boss is really cool about it. He's not tripping.
That's good.
He knows
that's
that, so it's kind of like he's understandable.
Yeah, that's good. That's nice.
Yeah, for sure. Not a lot of people do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So is this maybe a career path you want to take, or is this just a hobby, or
definitely I'm trying to go all the way with this. So it's like this first and then working on the side to me, you know what I mean? This is like my real job. That's how I look at it.
What gym are you fighting out of?
I fight out of Legacy MMA. It's actually my stepdad's gym. He opened up his gym a couple months back, so trying to
family gym then.
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, good. You have a lot of good training partners there. Is it busy there, or do you have?
I have actually a few people coming in, a few boxers, a lot of people for wrestling, jiu-jitsu, all that. I train every aspect.
Oh, so they have all of that in one place for you then. You don't have to juggle gyms or anything.
Yeah, no, none of that.
Oh, okay. What's your diet like? I mean, do you have to cut any weight, or are you already there pretty much all the time? Or?
I'm pretty much already here, 7-8 pounds. You know what I mean? Like I wrestled throughout high school and stuff, so cutting that much
no problem.
weight, yeah, no problem. I was like 16, 17, cutting way more. So,
okay.
I feel good fighting at this weight.
Good. How long have you been training for?
Serious, like that. I got serious about it within like the last year. Like this month, probably like about a year.
Really? What inspired you?
So
what
yeah.
inspired that?
What was that? What was that? I didn't catch that. I'm sorry.
What inspired you to start training within the past year?
Well, I kind of always trained when I was young because my stepdad, he's a jiu-jitsu coach. So he kind of got me into jiu-jitsu when I was young, and he always coached me. And then I started doing wrestling, and I carried that all the way throughout high school. I kind of like steered away from MMA and just did the whole wrestling thing. And then I kind of steered away from wrestling, kind of started messing up, went the other way. And then I thank God I got away from all that. And I figured, like, you know what I mean? Why not go back to the roots, try to see how far I can take it.
Do you feel like it's easier having already that wrestling base, doing MMA, and then, maybe it's a little easier to pick up striking after the fact? Or how do you feel about already kind of being in there with wrestling? Does it make it easier for you?
Yeah, honestly, I feel like I catch on like pretty fast, to be honest. Just the whole mindset, I feel like wrestling and MMA are like two similar sports. You know what I mean? You just carry on the same mentality. You know what I mean? And I see a lot of wrestlers, like people that I went to high school with, or just not even went to high school with, but other high schools, and they tend to do good. And I'm like, man, like wrestling is the way to go.
Yeah, I feel like I see fighters like, in like UFC or whatever, a lot of wrestling based fighters tend to go farther because you can always add on striking and the jiu-jitsu with wrestling. You kind of already have movement down.
Yeah. I always hear people say that it's harder to catch on to jiu-jitsu and wrestling than it is to catch on to striking.
Exactly. Yeah, that's what I was
But of course, thinking. You got to touch on every aspect of the game, though. So, it is what you never know. You know what I mean? Yeah, you never know.
Yeah, and I agree. I feel like it would be harder to learn a new trade like wrestling all of a sudden after just being on your feet the whole time.
Yeah.
So it's a good mix.
Yeah. Good to know, though.
You've competed in only 559 fights. Have you thought about competing in any other promotions?
I've seen other promotions like down north, like is it like the 209 or something like that? I've seen the Valley Fight Series too, but nothing really like interests me too much. I like the 559 fights, pretty cool for me.
They have one hell of a setup, so
I've seen some down south too, though. I might be interested in doing something down there, more exposure. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Do you have a limit of how many fights you're going to do amateur before you think about going pro, or are you going to leave it up to your coaches?
Right now, me and my coaches, I want to get this belt defended at least a few times. I want to get my rematch on my last fight. That's for sure. I'm not going pro until after that fight. And then, yeah, I mean, I'm hopefully if everything goes good this year, I've been training, I'm focused, and I feel like I learned a lot from my last fight. So if everything goes good, I want to go pro this year by the end of the year, hopefully.
How did your first? Okay, so this last one was a loss, and the other two were wins. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
how were those other two first fights? How did those go? How'd you win those? Knockout or?
The first fight was a TKO first round, and then the second fight was a sub the first round.
Okay, so you feel like maybe you're pretty. You feel obviously you've done wrestling more, so you're comfortable on the ground. Are you comfortable on your feet too?
Yeah, I feel like I wasn't really training it as much as I needed to. Kind of the first two fights, I let it get to me. So, you know what I mean? I feel like the mentality just wasn't there. But, I mean, I paid for it. You know what I mean? It is what it is. But I learned a lot. I learned a lot from it, that's for sure.
Yeah. Your last fight was a loss by decision.
Yeah.
What did you think? Did you think you did anything wrong, or did you think you won the fight?
No, I think I gassed out. I mean, it's pretty obvious in the video. I just gassed out. You know what I mean? I wasn't working enough on my cardio. I had a lot of other things going on. Just it was what it was. You know what I mean? He got the better of me that night, but I can't wait to run that one back.
Now, you've been doing this for about a year now. Have you done any jiu-jitsu things outside, like any jiu-jitsu tournaments?
I did a kickboxing tournament about a year ago. And then that's kind of what wanted to inspire me more. Like after I did that, I was like, I liked it, but I was like, nah, I need the full thing. You know what I mean? That's what made me want to get into the 5x9 fights. But that's about it. But honestly, I'm interested in doing probably some grappling tournaments or even grappling in the cage at the 5x9 because they'll do little jiu-jitsu matches right there. So, I mean, and I heard you could get a belt from that too. So, I mean, why not?
You do get belts for that too.
That'd be tight. You know what I
mean? That's becoming more of a thing with throughout the amateur promotions is having amateur titles as well.
Yeah, they have that, and then they have that camel belt too, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought Kaelyn was going to say something.
No, I was waiting for you to say that.
All right. So you've been doing jiu-jitsu and wrestling since you were young, and because you started doing striking, have you started to enjoy it more, or is it just?
I feel like honestly a lot more in this last training camp. I brought in a lot of boxers here at hometown. Brian Lua, Elian Lua, Rigo Lua, and I feel like this training camp they came in, they helped me a lot, and I just try to focus a lot more on that because in my last fight I seen a lot of holes in my game that I needed to touch up. You know what I mean? That I was ignoring, and I shouldn't have been ignoring them. You know what I mean?
Is it interesting because you're doing your more striking, working the footwork, but yet having to adjust it for MMA?
Yeah, it is interesting actually, especially working with boxers and then putting all that into MMA. But I feel like I adjusted fast and everything's mixed up good now.
Now working with the boxers, did you spar with some of these guys?
Yeah, for sure.
Did you see how fast they were compared to an MMA?
The boxing footwork is so different than MMA. It's crazy. This way. I'm like, bro, stand still. Hey, you just want to kick him in the leg real quick.
Yeah, because you've been working with boxers, do you feel like you've gotten better with angles?
Yeah, for sure. Head movement, angle, speed. I really focused in on this one. I feel like this fight is kind of like a do or die type thing, you know what I mean? Especially coming off a loss for me. I feel like I shouldn't have had that happen in my last fight, but I mean, it is what it is, like I said, so I got to come back.
Do you know anything about your opponent?
No, I just know he's from Dethrone, Fresno. That's about it. I mean, I've seen his fights on YouTube.
And we actually had him on last week.
Yeah.
Talking about his prep for the fight and what we got. He seemed like he's ready to go.
Oh, yeah. That's good.
This is a fight. Yeah. Like we like having both fighters on that are going to be competing against each other because you get an idea of what the fight might be like.
Yeah, I get you.
And man, it gets me pumped for the fights because I'm like, I talked to that guy. I've talked to that guy. Now we're going to beat each other up. I like it.
Yeah. I get you. That's what's up.
Yeah. I was going to ask something. I totally forgot. Go for it, James.
Good job.
Sorry.
I run into those moments too. I completely understand. Is there anybody that you look up to in the world of combat sports, not just MMA, but even boxing as well?
Like so say like idols, UFC and stuff like that?
Yeah.
I say GSP. I mean, he was always the GOAT to me when I was young. John Jones, of course. He got the dub last night. That was tight.
Yeah.
That was really tight. I don't know. There's a lot of greats that I like. That I look up to right now, as of right now, that's in the game. Probably like Connor. I mean, everybody likes Connor.
Everybody likes Connor.
Yeah. He just does what he wants.
Yeah, are you aspiring to eventually get to the UFC? I know there's a lot of other promotions out there like Bellator and PFL and other stuff like that.
Yeah.
Is UFC like where you want to end up, or do you just want to go pro and see what happens?
I want to go pro, see what happens at first. I mean, the UFC is always the end goal. Everybody wants to end up there. You know what I mean? Whether I stay there or not, you know what I mean? I know the PFL's paying a lot. That's what I heard.
They pay a lot.
That's crazy. But
yeah, you get into a tournament. They're paying $1 million there.
But just to even say you went to the UFC, like that's like a life accomplishment in my eyes. Yeah. And when I was young, that was like the dream. So
yeah, and they do have more options for UFC. Sure. Like not only
back then that was like the top thing. I mean, still is. But I mean, for the people that know, the educated people on the MMA, there's other promotions. Khabib guys.
There is, and they're not advertised enough. So who knows?
Yeah, they're not.
UFC will always be there, but UFC also has other opportunities. Like Dana White's Contender Series. All you got to do is fight and win, and you could win yourself.
Oh yeah, be like
rather than going through everything. You know,
it could
happen one night. You fought last night too, huh?
Yeah.
Yep.
Not that sub.
The win.
Yeah.
Well, all right. Let's be real. I've always wanted to hear somebody say, like, "Not, I don't want to go to the UFC. I want to go to bare knuckle." It's not gonna happen. But I'm just saying,
wants to start out there.
I feel like that's last resort.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I hope so.
That's where you go when you're done.
Yeah.
So far. They've had some big names there for a
while.
Yeah,
they have though. They have
one and done though. Basically, you'll see them fight once.
That's dangerous right there.
Yeah.
Can't have too many fights like that. I mean, you can, but
it's got to be worth it.
Yeah, for sure. I don't even know what they pay like that. I haven't even looked into because it don't interest me.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Now, doing 559 fights, that's the only place you've competed. How do they treat you guys? Because I imagine they treat you pretty well. It's a pretty big production and the way that it looks and everything. It's phenomenally. So they take care of you.
Yeah, they honestly do. Jeremy, the promoter, he's actually really, really cool, really stand-up guy. You know what I mean? We get along real cool. Everything goes smooth with him. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I like it right there. So I mean, to me, it's like if it ain't broke, don't fix it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I like it. I haven't seen anything wrong that I don't like right there. So I'm not really trying to branch out anywhere and see. You know what I mean? Oh, do I like this? Do I like this? I already found someone pretty good.
I feel like they have it all there. They have. I mean, you get your own walkout, your own little stage. They have, it's real. It's like an actual real for being amateur. It's a real experience.
Yeah.
Don't go to these other ones. You're just walking out of a curtain on the side of the building.
I've seen some. They look kind of janky. I'm like,
you get yourself a little changing room with a curtain instead of
a
room. You can actually come out. So I think they do a really good job.
Yeah, for sure. Thank God I fight with 559 then.
Yeah, you get the whole experience there. And also, how do you feel about media and getting yourself out there? Because I know it's important. Nowadays, it's important to get yourself out there, promote yourself in order to sell those tickets.
Yeah, for sure.
How do you feel about that? Are you comfortable with that? Or is that something you're
as of right now, I'm comfortable. Like, I'm amateur. I'm only 3 fights in, and I feel like I do pretty smooth with that. But I know still that's not the main thing on my mind. I feel like I got a lot to prove. Oh, excuse me. Especially coming off that loss. So it's like, that's the main thing on my mind right now. All the other stuff, I know it's going to come for sure.
Yeah, it is definitely not the most important thing. But nowadays, I feel like, because we've talked to fighters that are great fighters, exciting fights. But when it comes to media, they don't really want to talk much. They don't really short answers. They don't really, like, do you want to shout anybody out? And they're just like, oh, there's a couple people. They're not out there to get their name out there. They're
I get you.
Good at fighting.
Yeah, I feel like all fighters nowadays, they gotta understand, like, that's where it's at.
It's
Dana
a requirement.
White talks about it. Joe Rogan talks about it. You got to sell it too. You know what I mean? There was some guy I fought on the card last night. I don't know his name. It was crazy, but they were talking about. He's kind of like a chill dude. You know what I'm talking about? He fought last night. I think he won. He choked the dude out standing up.
Oh, Shockmot.
Yeah. They're talking about him. Like, he's real good, but not too many people know about him because he doesn't sell his fights. He doesn't talk to as much or whatnot. But
he's
a real good fighter, though. I seen it last night. I didn't even know about him. I seen him last night.
He's a monster.
Yeah, he's a monster. He's raw, like a silent killer too. I was like, oh man.
Yeah.
He's my weight though. No, I'm just playing.
Yeah. Yeah. So as far as like your weight, have you always been at this weight class? Have you come up or down or what's?
Honestly, I came up a little bit. Yeah, I came up. So before I started training and stuff, I wanted to just get back into weightlifting, put on a little bit of size, you know what I mean, get my body right again. So usually I would be like 165 type thing, 160, somewhere around there. So right now I feel healthy. I went up to like 180s, cut down. Now comfortably, I walked like at 178, 177. Like that's my walk around weight.
Oh, okay. Yeah, well, that's good.
Yeah, I'm right there at 170s.
You feel like maybe you're one of the bigger fighters in that weight class, or regular? You know, I know some people are like real big for that weight class because weight,
I feel like I'm kind of average for it. Not too big, not too small.
Yeah,
I'm not too sure.
Yeah.
Now, because when you started doing this, I mean, you got into it because you wanted to. Do you corner any of your teammates, or you just
not yet? But honestly, I plan on. As of right now, we have one other person fighting, which is my stepbrother, my brother Richard. He's 1-0. So
okay.
Yeah, hopefully soon I could coach him or something. And then we have a lot of other aspiring fighters, people that want to fight. So hopefully they'll be in there soon too.
Well, that's good. That's good to surround yourself with people that are active and competing.
For sure.
Also, they take it just as seriously. Also, you said stepdad and stepbrother. That's got to be like the best training partners right there, and they're always around. I bet, you know.
Yeah, for sure.
You're lucky with that. So that's
good.
Now,
it is a blessing for sure.
What belt are you in jiu-jitsu?
In jiu-jitsu, I'm a white belt actually still.
Wow, that's crazy. That sounds crazy. Your dad is a jiu-jitsu guy.
Yeah, he's a black belt. So you could. His thing is like, I'm the son, so you know what I mean. It's gonna take a long time for me to get.
You're gonna put in extra work.
Yeah, for sure. But I still want to compete as a white belt, get my medals, this and that. Especially now that I'm actually getting more into the whole aspect of everything, and I'm planning on doing that this year actually. And then hopefully soon I'll have my blue belt. I don't doubt that at all.
Are you any stripes at all, or just still like?
No, just straight white belt. Yeah, just white belt. Yeah, but I don't like neglect my ground game at all. It's up there. I compete, like I roll with my dad every day. He's a black belt, so.
There you go.
Yeah,
How much time do you like to take in between fights, or does that matter to you? How often do you want to fight?
I'm sorry, what was that? I was getting a car, couldn't hear.
How often do you like to fight? Do you like a lot of time in between? Do you take time off after fights, or
when I first the first fights I did, I fought in August and then September, right back to back, and then I fought in November, so like a month off. And then I kind of realized, like from the training camps and stuff, like my body was taking a toll. I was jumping into things, so I was like, let me just take a little break, take like a little breath, you know what I mean, then jump back into it. But now that I'm in the run of things, like just me, you know what I mean, my mentality and stuff, I want to fight in April and then fight again in May. But we'll see how the fight goes, you know what I mean, how much damage I take, whatnot, and we'll just go from there. I feel like I'm a lot more smarter now. But I feel like at the beginning of the year, I was just eager to fight every month, you know what I mean? Like, get me on the card. But now I'm like a lot more smart about it, and you know what I mean, listen to my body more.
When you start, trying to fight for belts and stuff, it kind of crosses your mind like, okay, maybe I should take some more time and produce a better fight rather than fight as much as possible and possibly not have as many wins or the best quality of training, so that's good. That sounds smart. That sounds pretty good. As long as you don't take, if you don't take damage, what's the worst,
for sure,
besides the hard training schedule.
That's why hopefully this fight goes good, and man, I'll be in there soon.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Roman, now gi or no gi?
Like what's my preference?
Yeah.
I gotta say no gi. just because I'm a wrestler, but honestly, gi does teach you a lot. Like my dad will hold me down in my gi for hours if he could. It's crazy, the grip strength.
Different handles, man. Different grips.
Yeah, different grips.
Choke you out with your own gi.
Yeah, all types of stuff. Like man,
that makes whenever I've rolled and I've gotten choked out by my gi, I felt really stupid. But like I know it's a teaching experience.
It's
I felt really dumb.
It's like getting choked with your own arm almost.
I know.
Exactly.
And then they're just right there looking at you while they're doing it. It's like, man, bro. But it's good. That's how you learn.
Yeah, we saw a lot of chokes last night on that fight card.
I was surprised. I thought John Jones was going to pick them apart, 3rd round, 4th round.
Oh, I was telling James before, I'm like, I kind of wanted to see more of a fight. I wanted to see how he moved as a heavyweight.
Sure.
I wanted to see more action. It's always good to finish a fight when you can.
I honestly watched the fight and I was like, what happened? Like, I couldn't, like, my mind wouldn't grasp it. I wanted to see a fight too. You know what I mean? I was
right, and all you could see on camera was John Jones.
But that is
basically.
But like you seen the lock, and it was on the throw. It was tight. But yeah, basically that's all you seen.
Yeah, we saw him. We saw Alexa Grasso finish Shevchenko with a.
Oh yeah,
I guess you could call it a choke. It was a pressure choke. I think
that was a good choke. It was like right on her jaw.
It was on the jaw, and I was telling him I saw a picture. Her face was completely red, purple, and then white from the arm.
The she probably would have broke her jaw.
I think so. Yeah,
she probably could have.
Yeah, and then we had another choke on. It was a lot of submissions.
It was good. It was good card, but yeah, a lot of submissions. Now you mention it, Bo Nickel.
Kind of goes back and forth. You see a lot of knockouts, and then you see a lot of subs.
Yeah.
But yeah, I wanted to see a little more from John Jones, but it is what it is. It was a good fight, I guess. So more power.
I mean, he's still the GOAT, huh?
He is, yeah. Technically.
Yeah, for sure. he's tight though. He's tight.
Yeah.
Now, Roman, is there any way that people can, reach you through either Facebook, Instagram, what have you? How can they find you?
You can find me on Instagram, LULACE00, low H00.
All right.
Yes, sir.
And anybody you want to shout out, man?
I want to shout out my dad for helping me out with this training camp, my stepdad, all my coaches, my training partners, you know what I mean? Everybody that came in, the Lua brothers, they're out there. They went to go train with Shakur Stevenson, so they're doing their thing. They probably won't be able to make the fight, but you know what I mean? Appreciate them coming in, working with me the whole training camp, and just everybody that helped me out. We're gonna do this. All my sponsors.
Yeah.
Nice. So list them off, man.
Oh,
that's
why we
have you on. You gotta talk about them.
Shout out to Major League Lifting. Appreciate you guys with the apparel, everything you guys do for me. Shout out to Hangout Nutrition. They got acai bowls, waffle protein, all types of things you guys need to, like, you know what I mean, get replenished and stuff. I got the Academy Barbershop, one of the best barbershops right here in town. They also have classes right there. So if you guys want to get your license or anything, anybody in Madera, aspiring barbers. My other sponsor, I got Tacos Guanajuatos, Tacos in Town. And I got PNX Cooling. They do AC here in town too. Big shout out to you guys. Thank you. I appreciate everything you do for me.
That's awesome. You get a lot of support there. That's great.
Yeah, I appreciate the support team I got right here. It's pretty unbelievable. So it's kind of hard not to believe in yourself when other people do, you know?
It's true. Yeah. All right, Roman, we appreciate the time. We wish you the best of luck on your fight.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I appreciate you guys having me.
At 559 Fights, March 10th. That's where you can check them out in Visalia at the convention center. I believe tickets are still available. So go pick them up. And thanks again, man.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Have a good one.
Have a good one.
All right. That was Roman Guillen talking about his fight coming up.
Sounds like it's going to be a good matchup there.
I think so, especially because you have somebody, and they both fighters have been doing it for about a year, which is crazy to me still. Like that, they're young, of course, but
lucky.
They are only a year in, and they're like, yeah, I've already gotten X amount of fights already.
3 or 4 fights already, and you're, only a year. And
yeah. Oh, wow. That's a lot.
Yeah, that's good, but that's good. You want to start off right.
Repetition, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah.
Staying healthy. That's a big thing.
Yeah. No injury. As long as there's no injuries there, you got to be careful. But I feel like and we always say this with the 559 fights, that it's a good experience to get the feeling of being out there, talking to people, getting in the cage, having it broadcasted, and talked about before and after. I think it's good prep work for becoming pro.
Future. Yeah, for going pro and the whole nine.
Yeah, you're already used to everything, the spotlight is all on you. It's not, like I said, you're not walking out behind the side of the building and no one knows you're up there until you're in there. You get a walkout, you get a really good introduction from the announcer and everybody. And I think it's a good prep for UFC or Bellator or all those other shows. So yeah, I don't know. We're lucky to have that here. Very true. Very true. Let's go ahead and jump back into the UFC card real quick and finish that out for us. Bo Nickel. With the head and arm triangle choke. Yeah. Talking about that, like, from what I saw of the fight, I watched it on YouTube because somebody had posted the entire fight. Nice. And so it's like I was there. It was crazy. It was amazing. All you got to do is just log on Facebook, whatever. That was it. And Facebook so Live. I was watching it, and he got him in a head and arm, but he didn't have the right position for it. So he kept adjusting. I feel like Jamie Pickett did nothing to fight against it. But from my vantage point, I couldn't tell because I couldn't tell.
but it didn't look like he was fighting it at all.
It didn't look, he was not, because he wasn't moving. He was moving his mouth. He was saying something. I don't know if he was talking to Bo Nickel, if he was talking to the ref. There was a lot of exchange there with words. I don't know who he was talking to. I think he was basically telling the ref he was okay, you know?
Until he tapped out.
He wasn't moving. His body was not moving, you know? He wasn't doing anything to fight it, and then, you know, allowed Bo Nickel to adjust until he couldn't adjust anymore and got the finish. But yeah, that was interesting. But Bo Nickel knows what he's doing, so I'm not surprised. That's true.
Like high accolades coming in with his wrestling, that's for sure.
Yeah, and that's what got him in there. You know, he completed 2 fights on Dana White Contender Series. He won the first one. Dana White didn't give him a contract. He said, come back. So he did it again, got another submission. And now here he is. He said he will not be on a prelim card ever.
I believe it.
Which is fine. And as long as he keeps doing what he's doing, I'm sure he'll get whatever fight he wants. But yeah, I wonder what's going to happen with him. I wonder if he's just going to be a sub guy, if he's going to get well-rounded eventually. I don't know, but we'll see.
Well, I mean, he'll always have his bread and butter. He'll always have his go-to.
Yeah. Although his mom
like to see him develop, that'd be nice.
Yeah, although his mom was a boxer, believe it or not, a pro boxer. So she has hands. I imagine he knows a little bit about that too, rather than just wrestling. So we'll see.
Well, right now he's undefeated, but do you know who the only person who beat Bo Nickel was as an amateur?
Mm-mm.
His mama. Sorry, that's an old joke. That's an old boxing joke. All right, let's go ahead.
But literally, his mom probably did.
Literally, yeah, probably beat the bejesus out of him when he stepped out of line. We had Cody Garbrandt versus Trevin Jones. Mm-hmm. Garbrandt got the decision win.
Yeah.
Didn't you sent me something that he had injured himself? Like during
I feel bad. This guy
still decided to fight.
Right. So he said that he had a neck injury, which kind of debilitated him in a way on one side of his body. I think it said, basically described it as a stinger. I think someone took him down or something, hit his neck. It was like one of the last training sessions for his fight, before his fight. So I don't know how bad it was. He didn't look bad when he was fighting. I didn't think he had an injury. Close fight, I guess. I mean, it went to decision, so nothing crazy happened there. But I don't know. This guy seems like he's injured a lot, you know?
He does, and he's
had a lot of surgeries. Been knocked out quite a bit to where his chin isn't there as much as it was, and now a neck thing. It's like, I don't know. How far do you go, you know?
So let's be honest. Do you think even though he got the win by decision, do you think he's on the backside of his career, that he's basically not going to be remotely in title contention?
Oh, yeah. I don't think he is definitely on the back end of his career. I don't know how much longer he could push. If he can come back, you know, I don't know. I think he still has the name to get the fights that he wants. So I don't know. I think I need to see another fight with him being healthy, you know. We'll see. I do think he's on the back end of his career, and I don't think he's ready yet, and we'll see. We'll just see what happens. But yeah, he can get those lucky knockouts like he used to, but I don't know. As long as you can get to the fight without being injured. So.
All right, but that was the UFC card for yesterday. It was the pay-per-view, and then we have a card next week. I believe it's next week. Yes, Saturday, March 11th. Of course, because UFC has fights almost every weekend, and the rare exception they don't.
And the weekend after that is the next pay-per-view, I believe.
True. We do have fights before that, the day before that, with Bellator. Let me go ahead and bring that up for us. We have Nurmagomedov. Don't know which one, obviously.
Because there's so many now.
There's a ton of them now. Not Khabib. He's retired. Mm-hmm. He's done. Versus Ben Henderson. Let's see. Here we go. Usman Nurmagomedov. Usman Nurmagomedov. 16-0 versus Benson Henderson, who's 30-11. I've always been a fan of Benson Henderson, but he has he's not been the Benson of UFC. He, to me, has been on the backside of his career. That I'm glad he's earned a title shot. I personally do not think he's going to win.
I don't think so either.
Especially against Nurmagomedov. Those dudes are just built differently. All of them. I think they're probably built in the factory, but that's my personal thoughts.
Yeah, Usman, I believe, has really good striking.
Mm-hmm. And so I'm glad that Benson Henderson is challenging for the title, but I don't think he's going to win.
Right.
And then let's see who else we got on this card. Yamauchi versus MVP, Michael Venom Page. I want to say this is Page's return from
retirement, right?
Either retirement or boxing. Because remember he did boxing?
I thought, you're right. Yeah.
And so we'll see how that goes. I'm going to go with MVP, but Yamauchi's no slouch. Even though he has 5 losses, he's no slouch.
Right.
Let's go ahead and check out who else we got. Moldanovsky versus Vassell. And then we got, I'm not even going to try that.
Tofik. I can't say the last name.
Yeah, exactly. That's where I was going to go with last name. And I was like, Musayev.
Tofik Musayev. Yeah. Musayev.
And then Alexander Shabley. And this is for the lightweight World Grand Prix. So that fills out that card. Tons of international fighters, of course, for Bellator. That's how they rock and roll, which, I mean, that's cool with me. We get to see some people that I don't think we would ever see in the UFC.
Right, yeah.
So it's definitely filling out the world of cage fighting. And then back to the UFC now, since that's the following night, we have number 2, Petr Yan versus Jashvili.
Merab Dvalishvili. Yeah. So that's good to see Petr Yan again, see what he looks like, see, where he's at now. Dvalishvili is very good too, though, so this should be a really good fight.
It's an interesting fight.
Yeah.
Especially because it's number 2 and number 3 ranks.
Yes. Should be a really good fight. We'll see how I'm still going for Petr Yan. I want to see him make a comeback. I want to see him get that belt. So we'll see. But that should be a good fight.
Completely agree. And this is a fight night. And then we have a heavyweight bout between Alexander Volkov against another Alexander.
Romanov. That's great.
So the battle of the Alexanders and the OV at the end of the last name.
Volkov and Romanov. That's great.
Number 8 versus number 13 in the rankings.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think Volkov definitely has more of the experience there, but
I think he has the advantage.
I mean, 16-1, that's a pretty good win streak there. So
true, but he is coming off of a loss. So
yeah.
Where will Romanov build from that? Will he be able to build back from that?
I mean, that's a pretty good record for heavyweight.
Very true. Very true. And then we have another Nurmagomedov. We have I don't want to mispronounce this. It literally says said, but I'm reading it in English. So is it
Syed or Syed, something like that, yeah.
Versus Jonathan Martinez.
Yeah, well, 17-2. That's another really good record. Another
Nurmagomedov, which isn't too bad either.
Right. Yeah. No, this is like the perfect matchup, really. So number 14. So Nurmagomedov is a number 14. Probably will move up. Well, I don't know. Jonathan's not ranked, so I don't know where that puts him after.
We'll see. We'll see. I mean, we don't do the rankings, but other people do that are smarter than us, and they figure that out for us.
Somehow they get it done.
Yeah, pretty much. Now, going back to the UFC pay-per-view card, Bo Nickal's opponent, Jamie Pickett, let's see. I'm not a cheater. Bo Nickal denies foul after Jamie Pickett's manager reveals result appeal. And they say it was a low blow that wasn't called, and that...
I saw that. I don't know.
You don't agree? I watched it, and clearly it was literally from the vantage point of somebody that was there because they recorded it. I didn't post it on YouTube. That was all them. I just saw it. And it didn't look like a low blow. I didn't see a low blow at all. Nothing blatant, at least. It could have happened, but
Nothing
I did
obvious.
not see it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Good luck. I don't think that'll be appealed, but
yeah, especially when your dude isn't even like defending the choke. Like he's not trying to fight to get out of it. He's just like, I'm here. It's cool. And that was it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, well, I don't know. I don't know. Whatever. We'll see what comes of it. We'll see what comes of it.
All right. And then one of the other things that happened last night in the UFC pay-per-view was an unexpected fight happened in the octagon. Jake Gyllenhaal.
Right.
They filmed a scene for Roadhouse, which I love the original Roadhouse.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like 3 weeks ago, I went to a thrift store, found the soundtrack on a CD and bought it. I'm that guy. I'm that weirdo. And I love Roadhouse. Roadhouse is just a huge guilty pleasure for me. I don't really know how I feel about this. I don't know if I'm going to like this.
I mean, Roadhouse and UFC, that's interesting.
Well, I feel like that's the culmination because in Roadhouse that took place, that was made either, I want to say late 80s, early 90s.
Yeah.
And so MMA wasn't really like a thing. Whereas now, if you are an expert in some type of combat sport, it usually involves MMA. It's not like where how it used to be, whereas a guy was just super good at being a kickboxer. Like there were, there were a ton of movies in the early 90s and late 80s that involved martial artists that were really good at one discipline. Like Don Wilson, who was a kickboxer, Oliver Grunier, who was a kickboxer. Like these guys were really good kickboxers and turned it into an acting career. Now it's MMA is like the popular thing.
That's where it goes. MMA is where it starts now rather than, the individual sports. Because you'll have boxing, which will always be boxing no matter what. And we've seen all those movies, all those boxing movies, the Rocky movies, all the
Creed 3 also. I'm going to go actually check that out.
I mean, all those boxing movies. Cinderella Man's one of my favorites. I love Cinderella Man because it's like real old timey, people
based on a true story.
People fighting for their dinner, basically, type of thing. I love that one. That one inspired me to actually train, which is weird. No, I don't think I've never heard anybody else say that or use that movie.
No. I feel like every boxing movie has inspired somebody to go out and at least do a workout.
I mean, and Rocky, of course, the Rocky ones.
Creed, all of them.
Creed, not so much. I haven't seen those.
Creed's good.
What was that other one? Hands of Stone was really, really good.
Based on a true story about Roberto Duran.
Yes, that one was a good one.
What was the one about Vinny Paz? Vinny Paz. I forgot what it's called, but that he was a boxer who suffered a major car accident and a neck injury. Had a halo and started working out because they were like, you're never going to box again. And he started working out wearing it and got strong enough that he didn't need any surgery or anything and finally got back in there.
Yeah.
Really crazy story.
Oh, I'm thinking of another one. What was it? Another boxing movie. Rachel McAdams was in it, I think. What is that?
Southpaw with Jake
There
Gyllenhaal.
You go. Oh, okay. That's what I was like, man, this guy was already in a fighting movie and I don't remember what it was, but it was that boxing one. So yeah,
that was really, really dramatic. It was like super sad. Like I didn't want to train after that. I just wanted to go cry in a corner somewhere.
But that was also another one that was interesting. It was not a bad movie. It wasn't a bad movie.
No, not a bad movie at all.
No, so that was good.
Really well done. Very dramatic though.
But now, like I think you still can do those boxing movies and have a good one. But now anything else, even remotely close to any martial art, I think you're going to have MMA in there, and you're going to have UFC. You're going to have. There was this whole other show. It was a series. I watched a little bit of it. Real cheesy, based on MMA. It's called Kingdom, I think.
It's Frank Grillo is the dad and trainer.
Frank Grillo and one of the Jonas Brothers was in it.
He's badass.
I watched that show. It was very cheesy. Very, very cheesy.
Very, very dramatic.
But I watched it anyway. And
then Ben Foster, I'm like, man, they're okay. I've been around enough fighters that I know there are quite a few people that are that dramatic and like that. But I'm like, man, I skipped through a lot of it because I was like, I just want to see them fight. That was literally it.
Yeah, exactly. But I think you're going to see, and I don't know why all MMA movies are so terrible. I don't know why they're so bad. I don't know. A lot
low budget, except Warrior. Warrior was high budget. I liked Warrior. I know a lot. It wasn't everybody's cup of tea.
Right.
But
yeah, I just feel like MMA movies are. Yeah, did you see the clip of what they filmed? It was bad. The striking was
for
so
Roadhouse.
Bad. Yeah.
I know from what I understood, Jake Gyllenhaal beats up Jay Huron.
Yeah, that's his opponent in the movie.
Yeah, Jay Huron's he hasn't fought for quite some time, so he's converted to being an actor. I've seen him in a few things.
But I mean, maybe take some tips from him. You know, I mean.
Oh, hold on. Have you ever seen the original Rocky movies?
Yeah.
Did you ever watch those fight scenes?
Yeah,
those were atrocious.
I know.
I mean, but
nowadays,
we disregard it because it's Rocky.
I feel like people just like it anyway. But no matter what. But like as far as the MMA, like the striking, it is god awful. It's like you can learn a bit technique if you're gonna do this. You know,
the way it's also the way it's shot. So we'll see how it looks in the final product.
Like you get this long pause of a looping punch that you would see for a mile in real life.
They slow that down.
Oh, the movie scene didn't look like it. It just looked terrible to me. So,
all right.
I'll see the movie. I'll definitely see the movie.
I will too, being a Roadhouse fan, but it doesn't mean I'm going to like it.
I know. Just
because also in it, you have the Patrick Swayze character who was a philosophy major and has a different idea of how things go in a bar. This is Jake Gyllenhaal, who's in this as this character is going to be a previous UFC fighter. Is he going to have the more or less mindset of peace, or is it going to be all out war? That's what I'm very curious to see. Is this guy like, and how did he end up being a bouncer at a bar, a cooler? Like, how did he end up there? I'm very curious to see too.
Yeah.
I just wonder how they're going to change it.
Yeah. Probably a lot.
It's circumstances are different because you had the bad guy, Brad Wesley, in the original, who was basically just corrupt individual, owned everything in the town, ran the town, and was just a huge jerk. And now you understand why he died. But in this, like, who's the bad guy? I mean,
we don't know.
They have pitching out these fighter names. I don't see any of these fighters being a mainstream like star to be able to be the bad guy. So I'm very curious to see what happens, but they did that last night at the UFC.
Yeah.
He was also there for weigh-ins. Yeah, he's going to be in that movie. I don't know in what capacity. I've heard different things. I don't know if I'd really believe it.
I don't know. All I know is when they played that little snippet of what they filmed, I'm like, God, that looks terrible.
Yeah, but you know what? I want to eat it up while I see it in the theater. But then afterwards, I might be like, all right, that sucked.
Yeah.
But building up to it, it's awesome. It's amazing.
Yeah. We'll see. We'll see what happens. It just looked really cheesy.
Of course. But it's Jake Gyllenhaal. He's the man, though, apparently.
I guess.
Yeah. You ever seen it? Hold on. You ever seen End of Watch?
Oh, yeah. I like that movie a lot.
Yeah. I bawled like a baby.
I think everybody did.
Yeah. If you didn't, you have no soul.
I know. Yeah.
All right. But let's go ahead and get back into the world of combat sports. We have one more to talk about before we finish up. Bare knuckle fighting. Some announcements have been made. And we're going to see basically a bunch of former UFC fighters.
Basically.
I'm telling you, I'm waiting for that one day. Somebody's all, I don't want to be in the UFC. I want to be in bare knuckle.
No, I don't think we're ever going to see that.
I appreciate bare knuckle for what it is. I really do. And we're going to see Mike Perry versus Luke Rockhold.
Okay.
Mike Perry has really found a home for himself there.
Yeah, it's fitting.
And it's going to be a new experience for Luke Rockhold. And then we have Chad Mendez versus Eddie Alvarez, which I didn't even know Eddie Alvarez had even joined bare knuckle, or if I did, I forgot.
Yeah, I don't know either. Like I said, I don't know what their contracts are like. I feel like they just bring in fighters for a fight card, you know, no big contracts, just one night, whatever. I don't know.
They could do more long term. We really don't know the depth of, because we only hear it so often. So we really,
yeah,
it comes and goes for us because it doesn't happen consistently enough.
Yeah.
But Eddie Alvarez versus Chad Mendez, I want to see that in an MMA cage. I don't want to see that knuckle.
That's a regular good fight.
Exactly. But that's me. So that's going to be going on. That's later in the month of April. So we have that to look forward. It's basically the Super Bowl of bare knuckle, it seems like. It's going to be a huge card for them. We have some other cards coming up that we will probably end up discussing a little later on, but not right now.
Yeah, we'll see. I don't know. I bare knuckle fighting keeps acquiring all these UFC fighters. Maybe we'll see them turn around and fight each other and like rotate, you know, like Eddie Alvarez and Chad Mendez. Maybe he'll fight another UFC fighter next time, or if he chooses to stay and fight for them.
More than likely, I feel like because they're such high-profile MMA fighters that they're going to compete against other high-profile MMA fighters.
Yeah, I think, previous MMA like fighters. When they had Paige Van Zandt go over there, and everyone knows who she is, so everyone wanted to watch that fight card, or that fight at least. And now I feel like maybe they think, oh, if we can get 2 or 3 of those kind of high profile names on there, that they can get more viewerships.
Yeah, definitely. We will definitely be updating you on that fight card and other fight cards involving bare knuckle. This coming, Friday, I believe it is, 559 Fights at the Visalia Convention Center. Go check it out. Great amateur MMA fights if you're in Central California. So go check them out. And that's going to do it for us here at the MMA Mainstream Podcast. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you guys next time.